Welcome to the Jameson Files. I'm your host, Carrie Weber, and we are back recording live episodes at the AACD annual meeting in Grapevine, Texas. And I am so thrilled to have with us today our Jameson marketing client, Dr. Dimple Desai from Newport Beach, California. Dr. Desai, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I can't wait for this conversation because we have just met, and you've been working with my team, but I haven't had the privilege of getting to know you. And so this is going to be my opportunity to learn just as much about your story as everybody else.
Great.
So Dr. Desai practices extraordinary aesthetic dentistry in Newport Beach, California. And is, when you're walking around the AACD meeting, she's on video, she's in the magazines, and, your work is incredible. But I would love to know how this all started for you. Tell me a little bit about your story in dentistry. What led you to dentistry, and especially what led you to this specific focus in dentistry?
So when I was, I believe, 13 or 14, my mom's local dentist needed an assistant. So my mom said, "Hey, Dimple, do you want to go help out?" I said, "Sure." So that was my first real exposure.
Okay.
Thereafter, I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare. So at 17, I started school at USC, and I didn't know what to do. I was like a lost puppy. Mind you, I'm also the first female who ever went to college in my family, so I didn't really have any guidance or support. It was just figure it out and take it from there. So I went to the counselor. And I said, "I need help. What do I do? This is where I want to be, but I just don't know which avenue to take." So she said, "Well, why don't you look into dentistry? The dental school is on campus. Go on over there." So next thing you know, I was there every single week, and they would hear my footsteps, and the admissions director's name was Mark Mitchell. He would hear me. He said, "Dimple, is that you again?" "Oh my God, you're too much." I said, "Mark, I'm 17. I don't know what to do. I need help. I think I'm going to be a dentist." He's like, "Okay, so let's help you out here." So they had a program where you can go through dental hygiene school and then move on to dental school, shave off a year from dental school. At that time, that's what sounded good. And he said, "The same time you can learn great chairside manners, practice dental hygiene," which is a great career in itself, and build your skills to that level. So I did everything he told me to and started dental hygiene school at USC my third and fourth year.
Hey.
So did all the prerequisites, so forth. Thereafter, I finished and I decided to work 6 days a week and make a little bit of money. So I practiced dental hygiene for 2 years and then went back to dental school. And the rest is history.
Wow.
And then obviously I got married. I had my children, and so I was just as an associate, but I would always continue to go to continuing education courses.
Okay.
I never stopped, and I'd come back Monday morning, super hyped like everybody else from learning and ready to implement. However, it's different when you're an associate and you're not able to implement right away because you have an employer who's not always on board.
Right.
So finally I decided, okay, I need to practice dentistry the way I want to. And I opened up Luminous Smiles.
Wow.
And I call it my third child. It's 5 years old now. And I can't tell you how much joy it's brought me. It's not easy. It's not an easy path. But at the same time, I'm able to practice dentistry the way I want to.
Yes.
And thereafter, I finished my COIS education. And I got into AACD. And I remember my first meeting was in 2018. And I saw what it was doing for people and the high-end aesthetics. So that put me on another mission of getting accredited. Now you have 5 years to complete accreditation. But I felt as though I needed to catch up because I've lost so many years from being an associate. So I finished accreditation in 1 year.
Wow.
And just put my head down and went to work. And I can't tell you the journey, the people I've met, the mentors, the friends. It's just you're surrounded by like-minded individuals to practice this quality of cosmetic care and deliver the best to your patients.
Yes.
I'm forever grateful, and now I'm on to the next pursuit.
And, when you started honing in, obviously getting some extraordinary advanced clinical training, but for you, how were you able to start to establish yourself in your area, in your community, as that type of dental care that patients might be seeking out? What were your starting points there?
That's a great question. So in Newport Beach, everybody's a cosmetic dentist. However, there isn't really accredited cosmetic dentist,
Right.
and it really distinguishes you from the rest. In addition to just the label, it's just the way you perceive dentistry, how you practice it. So for me, I had to build my reputation. And at the same time, I would publish articles, I would get myself out there, and just work with individuals who can hone in on my skills and help me improve.
Yes.
And, it's not really, it wasn't for me a mission to be known. It's just as long as you provide quality
Right.
and do the right thing, you will get the referrals you need and get to be known out there. So,
I love that point. It wasn't your mission to be known, and yet here you are known because you committed very early on from actually the very beginning to whatever you were going to do, you were going to do it really well. And tell me what that continuous development looks like for you now. I mean, you've reached so many great waypoints in terms of becoming accredited, starting to, be known for those types of patients that are looking for that type of care, that advanced level of care. But for you, what does that continuous development look like?
So the next chapter of my life, I want to provide education and help those who want to learn these skills and start lecturing, doing some hands-on training. I have some gigs set up already.
Yes.
But I just feel that because dentistry is so amazing, there's so many avenues you can take. And if a person wants to take a different avenue or pursue, say, cosmetic dentistry, I mean, you have to improve your skills.
Yes.
It takes practice. It takes repetition.
Yes.
And I would love to help somebody. Just even while I was here, I've had a few individuals come up to me who've seen my Instagram, seen my work, and, comment that they've read my journal. I mean, I can't tell you how humbled I am, and just for them to say that to me.
Yes.
So my next step is just providing education, helping those who want to be helped.
Something about, I keep thinking about I love that you want to help others and that you're now in a phase of mentorship, but also the being known piece. I keep going back to that because I think you do put effort. I mean, because you see the value. You're a marketing client of ours, and so you see the value of the message. And you mentioned your Instagram, and of putting really quality content out for people to find that reflects who you are and you and your practice as a brand. And, so there's a lot of practices that are basically checking boxes like, oh, well, I mean, I have a website done, but they're not really truly invested in making sure that everything that is out there represents the who that they want to be.
Right.
Why is that so? Why do you see the value in that? You've seen it from the beginning. You can tell by the way your messages are and how you are found, your social media and everything. Why do you think that resonated with you and you saw that importance so early on?
I'm just very detail oriented. Every little bit matters.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you said. It's representing you. So how do you want to be represented out there? For me, it's let me show you what I could do, what I can provide. At the same time, my pictures have to be perfect. The alignment has to be perfect.
Yeah.
How much should I drive you guys crazy with the website? The development. And I still look at it and I'll say, hey, we need to change this or let's fix this. But
that's also what makes you such a tremendous clinician, right? There's that attention to detail.
I've just been like super detail oriented from day one.
Yeah.
And I can do the same procedure every single day, but yet to me, it's a different procedure.
Yes.
And I triple check. I just make sure everything's perfect before we move on.
Yes.
And my team or whoever works with me, they know too.
They know. And, I wonder, what do you think for those that perhaps are at this meeting for the first time or are exploring, wanting to pursue a specific area of focus or bring new services or procedures into their practice? how would you prepare them for that? Like, what advice would you give, or are you giving to these people that are like, I want to be doing more, or I want to be doing things at your level?
I would say invest in continuing education.
Yeah.
Nobody can take away what you've learned.
Yes.
Practice. For instance, I love doing composite bonding, and that is not an easy procedure, especially aesthetic composite bonding. And during COVID, obviously, we were all shut down.
Yes.
I set up my entire dining room table into a laboratory, and all I did was bonding on my table. I brought my hearing light home. I bought a waxing unit off eBay, and I think an electric motor off of eBay also. And that's all I did. It was like I'd wake up, I had a purpose.
Yes.
I had models, and so I would just practice on these models day in and day out.
Yes.
And, my neighbors were all hanging out outside. Dimple, where are you? I'm like, I got something to do.
I'm doing
Finish
work.
this, then I'm going to do my Peloton, and then I'll meet you guys. But
I'm working on my mind, I'm working on my body, and then I'll
Right,
work on
yeah.
my social life. Yeah, I love it. It really is. We were talking with other doctors, and we talk about, the ongoing theme is you're never done.
You're never done.
You're never done. And that's a great thing. I mean, if what a lot of doctors are struggling with right now is burnout. There's so many doctors that are stressed and tired and burnt out, and either the owning of a practice or the leading of a team, or the patients or the dentistry or whatever it is, has led them to a place where they're just right on the edge of burnout. And to me, I feel like trying to figure out a reason, like going back to the start of the story. If you're feeling burnout, what led you here in the first place? And tap into that again and go seek out training that excites you again. And because that's what's going to make this the long run career that you hoped for when you were walking the halls at 17, right?
Right.
So seeking it out. And I really love what you said earlier of, find your niche, like whatever it is for you. For you, it's obviously this extraordinary focus in dentistry that you are just continuing to grow and develop within. But for somebody else, it could be a different type of dentistry. It could be a different type of focused in skill. But if you find that and you can tap into that passion again, that keeps you going even when it's difficult.
Dentistry's changing so much right now. There is so much more to learn that it keeps you on your toes.
Yes.
Digital dentistry. I mean,
yes. Whoa. Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
I mean, I was taught to pour up models, and I'd be in the lab all day. I mean, I even casted my own gold crowns. You spin this machine, and then you wax up the tooth, you spin this machine, and you shoot the wax out, and you just pray to God, please God, let the wax just melt, and all the gold crown just be perfect. Because you have to start all over again.
Yes.
And that's where I came from. So I had to learn all of the scanning digitally. I mean,
yes,
it's great. I love it.
Yes.
I just feel like it's getting better and better.
It's so incredible. If you do the work and you go do the research and see what's out there,
right?
Get your hands on it and try it out. You'll be like, why would we ever go back? Why would you ever go back?
Dentistry, like I went into it to work with my hands. So I'm still a little old school in a sense where I still wax up some teeth and I'll do stuff like that. But it's just, this is why I went into it.
I love that. That's kind of fun though. I mean,
it's fun. It's so much fun.
But also from the patient perspective, people process and learn and need to experience whatever you're recommending based upon how they learn and process things best. And so some human beings, most of us are visual. So all of these great technologies and tools and scans and photography, all of this is extraordinary for the human learning and processing and making that the right decision. But some people are kinesthetic. They like to touch things. They need to see it. They need to feel it. And so what we hear, what we see, what we feel. And so all of those pieces as a dentist, when you're educating these patients on what's possible for them, going back to, doing a marriage of both is actually probably a very special way to make those connections and connect the dots with your patients.
And I think what you said about, being able to give options to your patient.
Yeah.
The more you learn, the greater the options.
Yes.
You're not in a tunnel vision.
Yes.
So if I have a patient who comes to me for aesthetics, I lay everything out on the table. This is what I can do for you.
Yes.
Now I can give you pros and cons of each.
Yes.
It's up to you to choose your path.
Yes.
So I think that if, again, go on to continue education,
Yes.
the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Yes.
What you don't know.
The more you know, the more you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, I love exactly what you said, especially for anyone that is trying to incorporate more aesthetic dentistry or whatever the case may be. Those verbal skills and the way that you presented to the patient was so beautiful, because it's like, here's what's possible. Now let's partner together to figure out what is right for you.
Wouldn't you want options? I always say I treat the patient in the chair as if it was me. What would I want? I want to know everything.
Yes.
Show me everything.
My dad, when he's retired now, retired dentist,
Uh-huh.
but when he was practicing, one of the ways he started almost every consultation with a patient was, I've prepared for you treatment recommendations that if it were myself or a member of my family, this is the kind of treatment I would want for them. But exactly like you did, he's like, you have permission to move forward with all of this. Some of it, none of it. You're in control. But I'd like to present to you what would be ideal in my mind's eye.
Right.
And he would get permission for that. And no patients are like, no, I don't want to see what you have. I don't want to see it,
Right.
Especially if they're coming to you for that specific type of consultation. They want to see what's possible, but they also want to feel like they have control of their environment.
Of course. Of course.
I love your approach. I think it's just great. So what's next? What's next for you? And if those young dentists that are wanting advice from you are here, what would be the final little piece? Where do they start? How do they find the CE? How do they find the right track for them? Where do they begin?
I would say find something that you're interested in. There's so many aspects of dentistry. I mean, there's surgical, there's cosmetics, there's digital, and tap into that niche and find out, okay, who's the best educator? Yeah. Where can I go? Where can I learn more about it?
Yes. And within those niches are incredible little communities.
Incredible.
And communities.
Look at this community.
Yeah. Like-minded dentists that are pursuing and studying those same areas of focus, that I'm sure probably the power of this organizations like this for you is really the connections you make of the other dentists that are practicing like you do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just like you said, like-minded individuals.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Desai, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So you should go find Luminous Smiles on Instagram. Go see the amazing work that this phenomenal doctor is doing in California. And thanks to all of you for being with us. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your meeting. And you all be well. And we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Jameson Files. Visit us online at jmsn.com. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, or Spotify. See you next time.